blend juice and take yeah. I keep checking when somebody sends a chat, so sorry about that. Like I said, if you want to start a juice business, go to your kitchen, blend juice, find 10 people who taste your juice, and let them give you feedback about the taste. If the taste is good, then start thinking about other things like distribution, marketing, brand, all these other things that you get taught in business school. But the point is start, validate, and then take to market. Okay. Now, when you're building a business model, there's so many things to consider, which we'll be looking at this morning. But first of all, what should you expect from the next 2 hours of our session? By the time you're done, I'd like you to be able to have an idea of how to design a business model and how to appreciate what are the key drivers to be able to achieve this. Secondly, I want you to be able to, please mute your microphones. Thank you. I want you to be able to appreciate the pains or problems that customers have and make sure your solution fits those problems. There is no such thing as, yes, there are solution-based businesses. I mean, Steve Jobs once said that people don't know what they want until they have it. And this can be proven in some very rare cases. But in most cases, you will find that your product or your solution fits a need that I have. And that's why Apple computers or Apple products meet needs of ostentation. I want to feel cool, okay? Meet needs of functionality. They have longer battery life. They have elements that, yes, we shall share the slides after the conversation. They have elements that fit into the desire of the customer. And these are the things that we need to be able to understand. Lastly, is I want to appreciate the concept of unit economics. You know, many times I hear people tell me, yeah, I run a business. Okay, great. Where is the business? Yeah, my dad gave me space to rent. Very nice, okay? This is very good because your parents are supportive. And okay, so you don't pay rent, you have no base cost, no utilities. Great. Do you make money? Yes, we make some money. And I ask, if they took away the rent and the free things that you have, would your business still be successful? You know, you need to understand very clearly what is the unit cost and unit revenue of your business. And when you understand that, you're able to then effectively plan how you implement and how you grow. Okay. So we will get into it starting now. Okay. Many times you're told about a business plan. You're told before you start a business, you need to make a business plan. You need to, create a 5-year financial model and then use this model to be able to raise money and start, running your business. I would like to debunk that theory. Okay. A business plan, as expressed by someone called Steve Blank, is a document investors make you write that they don't read. When you're starting out as a starting business, because I'm assuming you are startups, you're trying to build ideas or start your businesses. Sitting down and doing a 5-year plan won't get you anything. It will just give you more theories and you'll spend so much time writing things, okay? Being able to build a base prototype product, or well, again, problem solution based product and testing it and making sure you have some traction. Traction is based on particular metrics. Is it number of customers that you're able to acquire? If you're running what you call a freemium model, is it the number of products you're able to sell? Okay. Now, when you have this traction and you take that to discuss with an investor, just imagine this. I come to you as an investor and I tell you, I would like to start I would like to grow my juice business. I began 3 months ago. I've been testing it out in my home city. And in the last 3 months, I've managed to sell 100 bottles of juice. I have identified 3 schools I'm working with, and I want to raise $2,000 to be able to continue my supply and increase my sales. I'll take you seriously. I'll actually give you my money because you've proven that you understand your customer, you've proven that you understand your product, that you've tested it, and you've proven that you have some customers willing to buy from you. Then I'll ask you the other questions that help us grow the business. Sorry, I'm trying to, my computer seems to be hanging. I don't know why. Yes, this is where we were, okay? And that's when I get to the business model. And what's your business model? A business model is basically the rationale of how your organization creates, delivers, and captures value. Remember, we've talked about value constantly, and we will stick to the element of value as we have this conversation. And this was a statement that was made by someone called Alex Osterwalder, who is also the creator of what we call the business model canvas, which is a tool we're going to be using today to go through realizing how do you create value, how do you deliver value, and how do you capture that value. Okay. A business model really captures four things. Okay, it answers four questions. The most important question, and I keep saying this and I'll keep saying this, is who. Who is your customer, right? Who are you selling to, and who are you selling to very specifically to start? Because you start within one space and begin to scale up. I will share an example. In 2010, I was running a company called Mcash. This was in Uganda. It's called MobiCash in some of the other markets that some of you were in. And when we started, we tried to capture the whole market, right? So we threw so much money behind marketing, and we thought by throwing money behind marketing, we shall get acquisition. And we did not. Yes, we got 200,000 customers, but we failed to retain those customers because we didn't understand what these customers' problems really were. We took a solution to market, began to communicate it. But if we had taken time to initially create a small nucleus market, learn from them, learn what their problems were, learn what their needs and pains were, and begin to scale based on that, there's a huge chance that we'd have been able to actually capture a lot more of the market and be able to grow better. Right? So be nimble, be lean as you start to grow, and be able to build a very strong business model to help you grow your business. So this is what the business model canvas looks like. And these are the four questions that I put across previously, okay? This is what you need to answer. On one part on the right side is who. Who are you selling to? Who are they in terms of definition? What segments are they? How do you reach them? What channels do you use to reach these people that you've identified? What are the relationships that you maintain with them? How do you get them to love you, and how do you maintain those relationships? I like the example of toothpaste, okay? Across the world, across most of Africa, when someone says, go and buy me toothpaste, they will tell you, go and buy me Colgate, okay? Or if you're going to buy fuel, they'll say, go to the Shell. Now, this is a whole other thing around branding, and there's another session happening next week for those who have businesses where we'll discuss a little bit around marketing. But how do you get a customer to love your product? How do you make sure that they know who you are and love you? And that comes from speaking to them constantly, right? And that is who. The other thing is, what are you giving them? What is the value that you're creating for these people? Okay? If you define the value very clearly, how do you...
The percentage of students that had not done that because the portal was closed.
Kindly mute your microphone, Evans.
So they had not registered their units. The same.
Yeah, thank you. The other thing is, how do you get these products to them? What partnerships do you require? What activities do you need to run? What resources do you require? Yesterday, when Caroline was sharing her business idea, somebody asked about what are the resources that she requires, how much money, what does she have to do, who does she have to talk to, what did people, not target that particular solution. And we need to understand this as well. And lastly, how much does it cost to be able to get to create the product, and how much do you make from putting the product out there? Okay. So like I said, we always start with the customer. And I'll be going through these 8 blocks with you one by one so you get a proper feel of how exactly you should be building your model. Like I mentioned, I'll be sharing these slides with you, so don't worry about the notes. Try to understand and try to envision. As we have these conversations, I'd like you to think through your customers and the kind of ideas that you have in your mind. Thank you. So, first of all, and this is the first block on the extreme right of the business model canvas. Who is your customer? Right? And you can have several customer segments. As we go later on slightly, I will bring up a slide around customer segmentation, and this is as we discuss the value proposition, which is heavily reliant on defining your customer. Is your customer urban middle class? Are they rural farmers? Are they slum dwellers? Are they employed individuals? And there's a number of criteria with which you define customers. It could be demographics, could be geographical. So demographics in terms of how old they are. It could be geographical in terms of where do they live. You know, you can't sit in Kampala and say, I'm building a product for people in Cairo. If it's a digital product, that is possible, but being able to then understanding your customer very, very clearly. And there's many ways to do this. One, of course, is research. Two is observation. But more importantly, is conversations. When you define your customer, you have conversations with them, and you'll see this as we go further with the value proposition. Okay. The next is what value are you giving them? So you know who it is you're speaking to. Okay. So in this case, we're going to try to just go back a step behind. Let's try to discuss this in relation to a juice company. I like juice because it's agro-processing, and I always see very many pineapples being spoiled in my city. So we're saying that for us, we are creating juice, pineapple. We're creating juice for. We'd like to create a juice product for the urban middle class. Okay, and we speak to them and understand that their problems are they get thirsty. Most other juice is processed and chemical based, and they're trying to get something organic. They've told us who they are and what they want. Okay, so we decide to create refreshing, healthy fruit juice, which we're going to give them. Okay, now when you understand your customer, it can be anything else, like you want to do meal delivery because now you understand the gaps that they have. Okay, so what problems they have and how are you solving them? What value are you giving them? Now, maybe fruit juice is not value. The value here is thirst quenching organic fruit juice. Okay, you've defined it, you've defined the value, so someone actually appreciates the value you're creating. If it is in the case, I remember Caroline's problem the most from yesterday. If it's the case of Caroline's problems, she's giving them value in the form of convenience, in the form of regular supply of vegetables. The vegetables are a product, okay, but the value that they're going to perceive, and you define that around the product you're creating. So we have the customer, we have the product. The next thing is how do we get this value to the customer, which is very important to consider as well. And this really is in the channels. How do you deliver the value you've created to each customer segment you've identified? Okay, so this could be distribution, communication, online sales channels, whatever it is. So let's say you have created pineapple juice. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to create a shop, a juice shop somewhere, okay, as a store, as a front-end store that you're going to create or sell. You're going to create a website where people can subscribe for juice delivery because they're buying it in packs of 6 or 7 for the week. You're going to create a wholesale channel for distribution so people can buy and distribute to supermarkets. So you're going to go and do a deal with a supermarket or with a fuel station. So you put vending fridges at every fuel station. Okay. You're going to use social media to sell. There's so many channels, so many channels. And when you think about your business structuring now, you need to consider the limitations as well, because now you have COVID. So because there's COVID, maybe there's social distancing. So you're not able to have a lot of physical contact locations. So how creative are you going to be on how you solve this problem? Sorry, I left my phone on. I need to just make that silent. Yeah. Okay. So what are the channels that you're going to use to reach your customer? The next thing is the relationship. And it's one of the most important things that we forget. Okay, I've seen very many companies get a customer, very many businesses starting out. The second you close the customer, you forget about the customer. You don't create a relationship with me. You don't know when my birthday is. You don't know how many products I want. You don't know how much I want to buy. You don't know. So because you made some money from me, you quickly move on to the next customer. It is easier for you as a business. It is easier for you as a business to retain a customer than create a new customer. As you begin to grow in this whole process, there's something called customer acquisition cost. Okay, and this is normally part of your business modeling. In terms of how much does it cost you to acquire one customer. Now, please mute your microphones. Please, it's very distracting, especially as I run through the process. Thank you very much. Yeah, so how do you create and maintain relationships with customers? Please mute your microphones. It is very distracting to continue when the microphones are, it's very distracting. Thank you very much. So yes, how do you maintain relationships with your customers? And this could be through marketing, it could be through CRM, which is customer relationship management, it could be phone calls, it could be door-to-door conversations, right? And I keep saying, if you're a small business starting out and you've identified your 100 people you want to start testing with, okay, talk to them. If you can't, talk to them every other day, because every day might be boring. But if I give you my juice product, call me. You know, if you give me your juice product, call me the next day, ask me, did you like my juice? What can I change? Is the sugar too much? Is it enough? Would you like another flavor? Would you like mango juice if we give you pineapple juice? Because with more information from me as your target customer, you're able to really understand what it is that I want. Now, there are very many people like me who you're targeting and trying to sell to. If you can clearly profile me, profile my needs and what I desire, it's easier for you to sell. It's the same if you're targeting a school. If, for example, you're doing food supplies to a school or you're building e-learning technology for a school and you keep talking to me and asking me, you know, are you happy with this? What can I change? Something else that you should consider is that as you build customer relationships, sometimes you have customers who are just a pain. You know, customers who keep demanding more and trying to bring down your product, fire them, cut them off. You know, if you're not adding value to me as a business being built, I can cut you off as a customer. But most importantly, learn what my pains are, what gains I expect from your product, and try as much as possible to align that to what I want. And that's what we'll be discussing in the next bit called fit, okay? So on this side, we've been able to define value and how we deliver value. And this is the first 4 segments, okay? And then the other side is how you create or how you generate this value. And the first thing is, before I go to creating value, there's the part of the how much, right? You need to also understand, because in this case, you know who your customer is. You have defined the value you're going to give your customer based on their needs and their problems and their pains. You have defined how you get the value to the customer. You have defined the relationship, that how you create and maintain the relationship with the customer. The next thing you need to know is how much are the customers willing to pay and how do they want to pay, okay? So the value that you're offering to the customer should create revenue for you as a business. Don't do it for free. You should have never, okay? So one is, how much are they willing to pay? Are they willing to pay, you know, $1, $2, 10, 5? How much are they willing to pay? Okay. If you understand how much they're willing to pay, so when you create your product, you have your cost, okay? You take your unit, and we'll be going through unit economics before the end of the session. You take your unit cost and you add a margin to that. This margin may be, of course, based on your discretion or based on how much you have in your business model, how much you want to make in profit. You add your margin to that. And then you test that product with the market. So you say, for example, my juice costs $2. $2 is, I'm sure we're in different countries, so we're able to the exchange rates. My juice costs $2 because it costs me maybe $1 to make, and I'm doing a 50% margin on my product. After that, you take it to the market. See if the customers are willing to purchase your product at $2. If they're not, then something is wrong. Maybe they're willing to pay $3 for it. Maybe they're willing to pay more because of the quality of the product or the amount of product it is. Okay. Maybe the cost of Please mute your microphone kindly. Thank you. Maybe the most expensive cost around your production is the cost of the can that you're packing the product in. So maybe you create a larger volume, but only when you understand what the customer is willing to pay for your product, only then are you able to decide whether to change the price or not, okay? Then we go to the next bit, which is how do we generate the value? How do we create this juice that we're trying to create, okay? One, we shall need a manufacturing plant. We shall need experience in making juice. If you're starting at home, you need a kitchen, a big kitchen to start producing the juice, okay? So we're starting to see, we have defined exactly what on the left side, on the right side, we've defined exactly what we want to deliver to the customer. And now we are defining what we need to deliver that to the customer. And I want you to look at this very critically and always note that we are always starting with the customer and the problem. We don't start with the product and creating of the product and then give it to the customer, because this is a mistake that many people do. And you find yourself building something that nobody wants or not enough people want, so you're not able to actually create a profit. So key resources, like I said, basically what you need to create this value that you want to give the market. So like I said, manufacturing, juice equipment, and what assets do you need to be able to deliver the value that you've previously described? So whatever it is, what do you require? Okay, and this plan basically helps you with resource planning, so you know how much money you need to raise, or you know how much you need to build. And I would like to state, it's very interesting to build this after you've been able to validate the problem solution fit, because when you start building something like this, you should have an idea of, how much is the market paying for what I have, what feedback were from the first product. So after you do your prototyping and you get feedback, then you start going into actual business modeling. The next thing is, what are the main activities that you need to run? Okay. And this really cuts across the board. So you know that you need to engage suppliers for the product. You need to acquire cold storage because you're doing juice. You need to look at the distribution chain, brand development, marketing. What are all those activities that you need to put in place before you can deliver this value, right? We've defined how we want to deliver the value, our customer, what the customer wants. We have defined the resources we require, and now we define the activities. What are the activities that we need to put in place? So think about Caroline's business. For Caroline's business, which is delivering of vegetables to schools in Mora district, she needs to engage with the schools because she needs to know if the schools actually need what she's proposing. She needs to engage with the transport providers. How is she going to get the products from where it's coming from to where it's going to? She needs to engage with outgrowers. She needs to engage with seed providers. She needs to engage with fertilizer providers. She needs to find the irrigation system. She needs to find greenhouses, for example, in case she wants to do that. She needs to create the nursery. So there's so many things. And in this case, you list all the activities, every single activity you need to do. And using that, you're able to then plan implementation. So you know that, okay, we need to get here, we need to do this. You can do a schedule of activities and start to implement based on that, okay? Lastly, partnerships. You cannot build a business alone. This is the second last, so not the last one. You cannot build a business alone. For you to build a business, you need to identify the different partners you require to be able to grow it. Okay. So if you're building a juice business, you need the fruit farmers, the wholesalers. If you want to do an online platform to sell, you need the software company. You need to be able to deliver. So who are these people that are not part of your cost structure that you have to partner with to be able to make your business work? And how do you nurture those partnerships? Because at this point, you start to have the conversations even before you start, okay? Because you need to know, okay, if I'm going to produce fruit juice, are you willing to
just?
Yeah, thank you. Are you willing to provide the fruit I require? Now, remember, there's the key resources and the partnerships, and it's important sort of not to mix them up. A partnership is basically somebody else. It may be outsourced service or an input provider or somebody else outside of your cost structure who you need to work with. Okay, if it's a resource, you have to actually pay for it in most cases, right? So being able to clearly define those helps you understand, okay, I can now, I've been able to deliver, I have identified how to build my value, how to deliver it, and how to create it. Okay. Lastly is cost. What is the cost that it takes you to create your product? So like I said, I use a juice experience, so fruit, manufacturing, marketing. This is very direct. You just have to know how much is it exactly. And in a few minutes, we shall go into the value proposition canvas and the unit economics, and it will help you better understand some of these concepts fairly well. Okay. So this is basically what I've shown you. I have shown you on the left side, how do you deliver value, okay? Where value is our value proposition that we have defined very clearly. This definition around the value proposition starts with the customer segment, Starts with knowing how you're going to get products, the value to this customer, how you're going to create relationships with this customer, and how you will make money, how you will capture the value or make money from as a business from these customers. It also then goes into what are the activities you need to put in place very clearly, the key resources that you require to have to be able to manage this, partnerships, and how much it costs you to deliver this value. Right? I would like to know if there's any questions around this canvas. I will show you what it looks like. I can take you through this before we go back to the task. So like I said, I put some time into trying to put together a business model canvas around a small juice business. These are small sticky notes that you can put up here. TechnoSpark 2, is everybody else hearing me clearly? Someone is complaining about not being able to hear.
Yes, you're clear, David.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so I will take you through this very, very quickly so you get a feel of what I'm talking about and what it is that you're going to do. Now, if you spend so much time writing a 60-page business model, you probably won't even need that document, right? You need to be able to have, a business plan. You need to have very clear business plans and documented plans around, what you want to achieve. But I personally vouch for you to do those plans after you've done some validation, you've proven some traction, and now you're planning around models that you've already validated, okay? So in this case, we're looking at our customer segment, who is Nelson Philip. Yes, it is important to include you always should add metrics, okay? So for example, you're saying that you want your key resources are, you need 1,000 kilograms of X. You always need numbers in many of these framework documents, because they help you actually have a clear idea of how much, what is the value, what is the number. It's very important to do that. Yeah, so, and I'll share this with you as well so you can actually go out and try to put this out. The truth though is that normally when you're starting out, there's a lot of information you don't have, and you only get the information as you start to build and test out, okay? And like I said, we are approaching this from a place of, we don't have a business yet. So that is what we're working towards. Great. So you will receive this framework. Andrew Nkoma asks if a business model works for small shops or for big businesses only. The business model canvas works for every business. So think about this. If you have a small roadside shop, let's try to go over this using a small roadside shop, okay? Customer segments, my neighborhood market vendors. I'm sorry, my neighborhood dwellers, if I'm in a slum, for example, okay? What am I giving them? Convenience by putting my shop close to them, okay? And around, if I define that, they'll be able to find quick, simple food. They'll be able to find convenient, simple food, sanitary towels and toilet paper, basic things they need in their homes. What's the relationship? I talk to them regularly. I go to their homes and talk to them. What are the channels? A physical outlet. What are my key activities? I need to source suppliers for the product. I need to create signs on my shop. I need to, whatever it is. Who are the resources? What are the key resources? I need money to be able to purchase my initial stock. I need to be able to do some small marketing with maybe a flyer telling them I'm close to them. My key partners are the wholesalers, manufacturers who I buy product from. What's the cost and what is the revenue? Okay, so this works really for everyone. And what it does for you is it helps you, give you an overview around your business, an overview around what you need to do. Because if you can keep measuring what you need to do effectively, you're able to then deliver that value constantly. Now, there's so many other tools that come up later on as you grow into your business. You should do, actual, longer term projecting and modeling. But when you're starting out, just cover the basics, start and use the data around what you are finding or responsible for customers to be able to grow. Once you have established a business model, is there a need to review it over time? Yes. When you're a starting business, there's a very strong chance you're going to iterate your model constantly. I will share my own example. When we started, we had something called a travel wallet that we're giving to customers, and we built this very nice online travel booking platform. We realized that because of trust issues, customers were not giving us money. So we went to a bank to find a bank as a partner to work with us to give us the credibility because customers trusted the bank. Okay, we realized that we're not hitting very high targets and we're starting to struggle with generating revenue. Okay, we then decided to start opening up selling travel as a business, and that's how we began to see quite a bit of growth. Okay, so your business model constantly changes. At the core, even your customer can change, your value proposition can change. In some cases, companies do what they call complete pivots. Okay, so if you're doing fruit juice and you realize fruit juice is not selling, but online vegetable selling works better, you have already been able to create the partnerships with the farmers. You have been able to create maybe a manufacturing or packaging plant. You have these resources that you can use to quickly change your business model. So you need to use information and data and customer feedback constantly to know that.
All right.
Bishop Stewart, do you want to mute your microphone, please?
All right.
Bishop Stewart University, can you please mute your microphone? Okay, great. Yeah, so your model will always change. Luchamuzi asks, what solution would you have for a novel business that might not have base information? This is a very good question. You should have a clear problem, right? If you have a problem, you have been able to identify a customer. If you have a customer and you've been able to prototype and start testing, based on that customer, you understand, one, how can I reach my customer? Okay, so if business information or base information starts with the customer, who are you selling to? Where do you find them? How do you talk to them? What are you going to give them, right? It starts with the customer. It doesn't start with theoretical ideas around I want to build this, so I'll do it this way. Always start with the customer, okay? When you've identified that, so let's take the example of I am a customer who wants to buy sunglasses with wipers, okay? So who am I? I live in Kampala City. What is my problem? It rains, and when I wear sunglasses, so it rains, and when I wear glasses, they get wet. It rains on the glasses. So I want to get glasses with wipers. I'm sorry for the very silly example, but I'm trying to get the most far-fetched idea to help you see what I mean, okay? So when you speak to me, I accept and say, yes, I think I would want to get glasses with wipers. So how do you reach me? Is it online? Because online is cheaper, and since there's not many of us, it's easier for you to get to us online. You can also reach us through outlets that are selling glasses, okay? How do you keep talking to me? A CRM tool, so you know if the motor on my wipers is still working, okay? So you have the value. What are the key activities? You need to find a supplier in China to manufacture the glasses. You need, resources that you require. So you don't start a business. Your base information is who are you selling to. If you don't have a customer you're selling to that you've identified clearly, don't start your business. Because then you have to start figuring out the customer, and that becomes a problem because customers change, their minds change. You probably have a completely wrong idea. So any novel business should go towards solving a problem. A problem is had by a customer. A customer may be institutional, maybe individual. I'll be showing you that in a few minutes as we go. Okay. So do we have any other questions? Okay, we don't have any other questions. Good. So we will be sharing this. We'll be sharing with you this canvas as a template. Feel free to use sticky notes. You can just create sticky notes or little text boxes and add this to your canvas. Tomorrow we shall be going over this. Just get a few examples for you to present, and then we can be able to take it. We can be able to get feedback on that. As Amwine asks, what would you advise me if I have not tested products in the market, but I need expensive fixed capital? And this is what I've been saying before, okay? You've not tested anything. You do not know. I mean, yes, you can do field research to speak to customers, right? But you've not tested anything. And you want to go and spend $100,000 buying equipment to build something. First of all, it's going to be very hard for any investor to give you this money. Very hard. Unless, I mean, some people get lucky and they can raise this money. In most cases, and please correct me if I'm wrong, okay? In most cases, for almost any product that you want to put up or put out, it's possible to create a low-cost prototype in most cases, okay? So let me use an example of a project in this country. We have a company that is doing banana flour, okay? They're trying to process bananas into flour and make them, very big. In most cases, you can start with an in-laboratory process, small. And there's many incubators that you can apply to for this. Boil the bananas, dry them, make them the flour, create the packaging, take it out, and find 100 customers to test with. Get the feedback that they give you and use that feedback to build a subsequent business case for you to raise money to grow your business, okay? When someone comes to me and says that I want to build, I think we discussed something yesterday with a friend who wanted to do a poultry farm in Homa Bay. And the feedback is this: you don't have experience doing this. There's so many elements around the business you've not considered yet. So before you do that, start with 50 birds. Show that you can actually create some production and learn from that, and then start to grow. Now, this is not to limit your potential, okay? I speak from a place of experience where I raised money and I saw so much failure because of experience. So you need to start by finding a way to build a simple prototype. And a prototype can be as simple as putting together, I mean, if you want to build a car, for example, this is a hypothetical scenario, and you find people to put the bars together and put the tires and show that this contraption will solve the problem moving from here to there, it makes sense. Now, there's some very high value mechanical projects that can be done and financed through especially academia, because universities do that. That's different. But if you're starting a business yourself, prototype it, prove that the market wants it before you start to go to market. I will answer this question last, and then we will take a 5-minute bathroom break and come back and start the next part of the session. So Esther asks, how do I get customers who can be a base for me? One, it is segmentation. So you need to start by doing your segmentation of who are you targeting with what you want to build. Of those, find 10. Find 10. Don't find 20, find 10. Talk to the 10. Get the feedback from the 10, increase to the 20. Just talk to people, But such by defining them very effectively. And this works across the board. If you're trying to build an Amazon, or you're trying to build the biggest company in this country, you start with a few customers. Somebody said that it's not a very good idea to get feedback from friends and family because sometimes they're biased. But again, you can start there and start to expand through your networks to be able to get feedback. Leonis asks, this is the last question I'm answering, and then we'll start the next session. I would like to know, on this example of fruit juice, what if you first produce little of it and start searching for customers by giving them a test to give you feedback, then you start later. This is exactly what I'm advocating for. I'm saying that start with a few customers. Dale, please mute your microphone. Start with a few customers, test it, get the feedback, understand what they like or don't like, and then start to see how to scale up, start to see how to increase production, start to see how to increase market. There's a company in Uganda called Ganjovu Juice. I've seen them at almost every function I go to currently. What these guys do is they blend juice, put it in jerry cans, and go and sell it, and go and provide it to functions. So if we're to envision what their business model canvas looks like, okay, they have defined their customers very clearly as events, people who have events. Okay, as a result, the customer relationship maybe is phone calls, it is going to wedding meetings, it is corporate engagement. The channels that they use are probably Facebook for communication. They probably do direct sales because they have people going out to find who has an event, and what they're giving them is refreshing fruit juice at your event. They're taking away the option of unhealthy sodas or unhealthier sodas. Okay, what are the activities? They have to find the production location. They find the fruit for production. They have to get the equipment to start producing all these activities. What are the resources that they have? Cold storage. Joseph, please mute your microphone. Thank you. Yeah, and then what are the partners? So you realize that if you start by validating, it becomes easy for you to start to scale up, as opposed to starting from a place of I have gone and bought equipment, and now I'm making a lot of juice, and then I'm figuring out who to sell it to. Okay, great. So back to this. I would like you to, I'll be sharing this with you after this conversation. I would like you to spend some time working on your on a basic business model canvas of how you envision your business. Again, this is before traction or validation, just have an idea of what is it that you do after you've proven that you know your customer fairly well, and you sort of have an idea around the value you want to create. So we will take a short 5-minute break. The time right now is 11:47 in Kampala. So we shall come back here at 11:55 to start the next part of the conversation.
For 1 hour. Mute your mic. Harus tadi kayak ini.
Okay, great. So welcome back. Hope you had a chance to stretch your legs and get some air. Getting straight into it. But before we do, there's two questions have been asked. John Walker asked, hope you can train us on proposal writing and fund sourcing. I'm sure this can be arranged eventually. Proposal writing is not my strength, unfortunately, but I'm sure this can be arranged. However, around fundraising, many people will sit in front of you and tell you, create a very nice financial model, create a very good proposal, and you go and raise money. Between you and I have struggled to raise money. We've raised some money and failed in some cases. The easiest way to raise money is with traction, okay? Traction is when you can show customers love your product, customers are buying your product, and there's interest in what you're selling. The other ways to raise money, of course, if you're in impact, strong impact stories work, but even with impact, traction. Show me that you have 10 customers. Those 10 have grown to 50 customers. As long as you show me that, as long as you show most investors that, it is a lot easier to raise money. So before you spend your time thinking about writing proposals and documents and this and that, think about getting 10 customers, 20 customers. Think about showing a growth curve. You show that my curve is going up like that. It is small numbers, but it's growing. It means customers love my product. It means that I can actually make this a scale, grow at scale. Agaba Oscar asks to share his pitch deck for guidance. Oscar, we will allow you to do that tomorrow during the feedback session. So the feedback session will include people presenting their. Please mute your microphones. It is very difficult to concentrate with the noise. Mohammed, please mute your microphone. Thank you very much. Yeah, so we'll allow you to share your deck tomorrow. Mohammed, please mute your microphone. It was muted and now it's unmuted again. David, can you please mute Mohammed's microphone? Thank you very much. Okay, great. So yeah, we'll allow you to do that tomorrow. We'll make sure you can share your deck, and we will be able to give you feedback. And look, and as we see Agaba's deck tomorrow, can we look at whether it comes out with a lot of the communication we expect to see? Just to also explain, on Friday we shall be looking at how to set up a business. So it's more academic. It's not like this, but also we shall look at how to build a pitch deck, because a deck is a very important part of communication. Just to share a funny story, when I began my business in 2013, one of my potential investors asked me for a pitch deck, and I never knew what a pitch deck was. So I said, what is a pitch deck? And I lost the investment because he felt like I didn't have the experience to build a business or communicate it. So we'll be going through that on Friday. And I think Mr. Agaba's sharing with us tomorrow will be very nice as a precursor to that activity. Great. So we're going to go into the value proposition and product market fit. And these are very interesting concepts because just to share a slide with you that I picked up this morning, Naomi, please mute your microphone, is that this slide shared the top 10 mistakes startups make and why they fail. Okay, so there's so many put out there: spending too much, not having the right founders, failing to raise money. But the number one is building something that nobody wants. And the reason for this mistake is because many times, as people starting businesses, as companies starting to run operations, We will start by building a product. Kindly mute your microphone. We will start by building a product on the basis of we think customers want to buy this, we think people are interested in this, but we've not done any research to actually understand. We are not talking to anyone to see if they actually want what it is that we are selling. So, sorry about that. Yeah. So, if this is the main problem that businesses have, that businesses fail for, maybe it is right what we're saying, which is we should always start with a problem. Based on the problem, we start to build solutions, test the solution, get feedback, and use that feedback to begin to scale up our solutions. Okay. And why is it that people build things that people don't want, right? Because you've not spoken to enough customers. You've not identified your customer effectively enough to know if this is exactly what this person wants. Because customers respond to value, okay? For example, if my car, if I need to move from one point to the other, it is 6 p.m., I'm about to hit curfew time, I need to get from Kampala city to Ntinda. For those outside of Uganda, these are cities, these are small towns within the capital city. Because I need to do that, I will pay anything. I will pay anything to get there because it is giving me value, the value of mobility, the value of being able to get to my home, you know? So if you understand the value very clearly, or the problem very clearly, it's easy to build value. So value responds to problems. The problem may be expensive alternatives, farm wastage, hunger, boredom, whatever problem it is, as long as you define it clearly, the value you create could be price, could be the taste of a product, could be just about getting the job done, or whatever it is, right? And I like to use the analogy, I think I used this on Monday as well, of the washing machine. Nobody buys a washing machine because it's a nice machine to have. A washing machine does not entertain you. A washing machine does one thing. It gives you clean clothes. And you will buy a more expensive washing machine because it will give you more clean clothes within a shorter time, right? You start to look at the reasons a customer goes to buy a washing machine now start to change to, it solves my main problem of clean clothes. I get more clean clothes. I get clean clothes faster. I get dried clothes outside of my machine, you know? And that's really around the value offering that the customer is looking for. I keep saying to you that it is very important to very well understand who your customer is through segmentation, okay? Segmentation may be along 4 different lines, and I think they're the new ones coming out today. It may be demographics. How old is your customer? You are trying to sell fruit juice to school children. Is it a need that they have, you know? What sex are they, male or female? That determines how you talk to them, what you put out there, you know? You're trying to sell, imagine if you make pink, a variant of juice that's color pink. You know, men won't buy that because it's too feminine, okay? And vice versa, okay? If you create a black, you'll find that someone typed something in the chat. When someone types something in the chat, I will look at it to see if I can respond to it. Can everybody hear me clearly? Can everybody else hear me clearly except the channels?
Yes, you are audible.
We are hearing you, David.
Okay, thank you very much. Now mute your microphones for all those that responded. Yeah. So the next thing is income. How much money do you have? Because if I know how much money you have, if I know that you're a slum dweller, you won't afford to pay me over 30 cents on the dollar, right? If you live in an upscale neighborhood, you have more money, so you may be willing to pay more for the product, which means as a product designer, you're now thinking about maybe I should have a better packaging, you know, maybe I should have better branding. Maybe this is how you think about these things. Are you married? You know, you realize there's products married people buy more of than unmarried people. Because if I'm married, I have children at home. So you're targeting me because I am married and have kids, okay? Ethnic background. In these markets, there is something around, sorry, someone said I'm off again, so I'm not sure if it is only them or it is everybody else.
They're together.
Perfect. Great. So ethnic background, where do you come from? Okay. There's a company in Uganda that did something very interesting. So a telecom company decided to create what you call a mobile virtual network operator. It's a it's a virtual telecom sitting on one with existing infrastructure. And they called it K2. And K2 was branded as a product for the people of a kingdom in central Uganda. Now, this is a very interesting story because what happened is the product developer must have sat and said, there are about 3 million people, 5 million people of this particular ethnic group. And they respond very well to a king, okay? So he has identified the customer. Their problem is not communication, but their problem is finding a way to support the kingdom, okay? So they create a telecom which is linked to the kingdom. So it's a kingdom telecom that they're paying for. So it's just brilliant because the customer feels that they have achieved the intrinsic value of supporting the kingdom. Please mute your microphones. Please mute your microphone. Okay. Okay, great. Asimwe, please mute your microphone. Asimwe Penina. David, can you please mute Asimwe Penina's microphone if you're there? Okay, the next thing to consider is geographics, okay? Where are these people located? Are they local, are they national, are they international, are they regional? And as you build this, as you understand where they are, it then helps you think about how do you reach them, okay? But also, what kind of product do they need? Because you may base your segmentation on the fact that I am only in Ngora district, for example, yes, as Caroline said yesterday, okay? So the way you build the product, the value I require is different. Maybe the branding, the packaging will be different. Maybe you can't call a product by a particular name, okay? The next is behavioral. What do I do? How do I act? Do I go out at night? What are the things about me that you need, the information you need to be able to? Please kindly mute your microphones. Amwine, please mute your microphone. And Saba, thank you very much. Lastly, psychographics. How do I think? What are my values? Am I Christian? Am I not Christian? Now, when you understand how to segment your customer effectively, it's easier for you to match the problem that you've identified with your customer to the solution that you have. And this is really where the value proposition canvas comes in. Okay. And this canvas comes from the business model canvas, picking up from the customer segment side and the value side, and tries to make sense of these two concepts, okay? So on the right side, you have your customer segment. So you've identified your customer, but you need to understand what your customer's needs are. They're also defined as jobs. What's your customer trying to get done? What is it that they want? Your customer wants to quench thirst. They want to give back to community. Dick, kindly mute your microphone and welcome. Yeah, so what do they want? If you define what the customer wants, the next thing to do is define what their fear is, okay? So for example, as someone who's buying juice, I'm afraid that maybe the juice is not healthy. I'm afraid that about the production process. I'm afraid of other things that may impede me from purchasing your product. What are my fears? What am I uncomfortable with? And I'll show you an example in a minute so you actually get a better understanding of it. Lastly, what are the benefits I want to get from a product like this? Okay, we're going back to the juice. It will quench my thirst. It will give me nutrients. It will help me feel like I'm supporting a farmer somewhere, right? Because if you're trying to target someone's need to feel like they're supporting somebody else, your communication then comes out like, by you buying this bottle of juice, you're supporting a farmer somewhere in region X or Y. And that's where it gets very interesting, okay? On the other side, you then look at the value that you've created, okay? First of all, what are the features of this product? We are giving you fruit juice, bottled fruit juice that lasts 4 days in your fridge or 5 days, no preservatives, all natural products, tastes amazing. That's the product, that's the basic product, right? We're giving you 2 different sizes. But how are you solving my pain? One, because of making sure that because you as a customer are afraid of having unhealthy juice, we pasteurize our juice, or we use, we adhere to standards of fresh fruit juice in the market as set by the regulator. And that's where the Q marks come in, that's where the quality marks come in. So if you are communicating and trying to find fit between your customer's fears and your pain reliever or your fear reliever, you're telling them, by having this quality mark on our product, by being adherent to all the standards, that way we are guaranteeing you the quality of our product. So you solve my fear, okay? And what's the gain that I want? The gain that we give you is we're giving you healthy, no sugar added. And this is how, all these communication things start to come in with product development, okay? So you achieve fit when your value map, the value map is on the left side, which looks at the product that you're building, the pain relievers, and the gain creators. When the value that you're creating can match one or more jobs, and this means the needs, the pains, the fears of the customer. If you do that, there's a huge chance that you're able to achieve what you call fit. Now, what happens when you achieve fit in most cases is that your target customer will just pick your product off the shelf. I'll give you an example. Let's use something that we see every day, milk, okay? Milk is something that people use in their homes regularly for breakfast, okay? The customers need is they want milk because it adds taste to the product they have. So it adds taste to their breakfast. 1, 2, because they must have breakfast with milk as they were raised that way. So you define the needs, very clear, very simple needs. Their fears is they don't want to buy milk that goes bad. 2, it has to be hygienic. 3, they have to make sure, a fear could actually be the fact that the kids in their home, and this is a very interesting fear, the children in their home and are able to drink milk every day. So when they go to school, they don't tell their friends that we don't have milk at home. That could actually be a fear of a customer. It could be, a psycho-based fear. What's the benefit that they would like to have? Calcium, because you're told milk has calcium and it helps you taste better. 2, satisfaction. You're not hungry in the morning when you're going to school, right? Going to wherever it is. Now, based on those fears, you understand that it's for breakfast. You understand that this can be, also it shouldn't be expensive. Okay, that's another fear. It can't be expensive. 3, it should be available close to home, so I stop as I pick it up. And these are things people think about as part of the needs, right? So you find that when people produce milk, first of all, to keep it cheap, they're not going to put so much into the process. So a few brands have expensive milk, and this is going to be interesting as well. So you find that, for example, you have things like, there are some global brands that are producing very interesting branding and packaging, so it's more expensive. So you fit into the customer's need for ostentation. I buy the most expensive milk in the market. But also you'll find that in most cases, you're going to make sure that you put milk in a pouch that is simple, that you can buy on your way home and keep buying every day so it's cheap. That way you make sure that someone doesn't worry about the cost and how they can be able to purchase the milk. So for you to find fit with milk is make sure it's cheap, make sure it's accessible, make sure it's visible so they can pick it up as a brand, make sure that you fit their need for consistency and quality by making sure there's a brand on it that they know they can pick up, and that's how you find fit across different products. I put together, I found an example online around a taxi smartphone operation. And this is just to show you that not all the time will it fit all the pains or all the gains or all the needs of the customer. As long as you fit some and you fit more than more of what the customer needs or fears or what they need, there's a good chance you have a good product and you can validate this. So this is a taxi smartphone application. Sorry I couldn't find one for agriculture, and I just put this together quickly. One, a customer wants to be able to call a taxi. This is about mobility. They want to be able to find a taxi. They want to be able to give directions and to be able to pay for their service, okay? What are their fears? They don't want to wait a very long time, because if I wait so long, I'm losing time. It's not efficient anymore. I don't want to be overcharged, because if you charge me too much, when you get it's very interesting whenever I travel across the African continent and you get into a taxi for the first time, you will be taken through the very long route before you come back to where you're going to, because either they're making money off a meter. When you get an Uber, now you're sure that Uber will give you the price before you sit. So I know that the price won't change very much. And as such, I'm very confident in the service I'm being given, because it solves my fear of being overcharged. I'm sure that I won't wait long, because I'll see where is the Uber, how long will it take, can I get into it, okay? Two is, I don't want to be fighting with other customers for a taxi, because now I want to get a cab or a taxi, and there are 3 customers pushing each other on the street to get in there. Again, with the Uber solution, I'm able to just look at it and say, okay, it's going to be here in 5 minutes. I am the only one who is traveling. And what's interesting though is around the fear of being overcharged, in some countries, Uber is actually creating a pool product, so more people can actually get into the car together, okay? Lastly, is you don't want to have unsafe drivers. So Uber is going to be able to profile the drivers very clearly. So Uber has met my needs. Uber has solved my fears. I'm no longer afraid of these things I'd be afraid of. What do I want from a taxi service that I get? It should arrive on time. Yes, Uber will give me an estimate of how long it will take me to get to where I'm going. So in many cases, I'm like, okay, fine, fair price. For the customer, in most cases, many of these ride-hailing applications are cheaper than the existing services. As such, you'll find a strong element of price acceptance from the customer. Yes, Bishop Stewart, you will receive both the value proposition canvas and the business model canvas after the discussion. Lastly, you want a professional service, right? So you find that this virtual taxi service is solving my every need or my every gain that I would like to have. Now, let's look at the value map on the other side. What is Uber creating to fit my needs as a customer? First of all, they have built a taxi smartphone app. That is the need that they have been able to the product, the features that they've been able to build, or the job they're trying to solve, okay? The main way that they solve my pains or my fears is instant booking. I'm able to quickly on my phone application book. I will be assigned a driver. So instant booking solves my problem of wait time, giving me a time estimate of my pickup solves my wait time. Because when you manage my expectation and say, your car will be there in 10 minutes, great, this is actually interesting. Now, I know I'm explaining this from an Uber perspective because it's the example I had, but you can think about this about any service or product you're creating, okay? Costing of the item, I don't want to be overcharged by the taxi. It will tell me it will charge you this much. I don't want, so in some countries, and it's actually very interesting, in some countries, because people want to be able to pay for their ride with cash, they are providing cash to solve the pain or the fear of not being able to pay cash, right? And then what are the gains that they're helping me achieve? Helping me save time, professional drivers, rating system, visual map, right? Now, visual map. What's very interesting here as well is that if you did this for your service or your product that you're creating, just imagine how many communications messages you can get from this. Because now you come out to the market and you're making commitments to the customer because you've built something that I want, something that I need. And trust me, this works across the board. Yesterday, I told you an example of a company that's doing a social venture that is doing Help Map, a Nigerian company that's doing the bath kits that they give mothers. They are being able to solve the needs of the mothers because they need sterilized items to manage their post-bath handling, and they've been able to solve all these problems. And believe me, when you solve problems and you actually have fit, the next thing you see is customers just pick your product off the shelves. You will see investors come to you because you have the numbers to prove. And what's interesting is you start to enter a new realm of problems, which are growth problems. And growth problems are very different from startup problems. Okay. So this is what the value proposition canvas is about. I hope I've explained that clearly. If there's any questions, you can ask them. We shall be sharing a template as well on this. And the template here is going to help you is going to help you work on your own value proposition canvas. Okay. If we have no questions, I will go to the next bit, which is unit economics, also a short bit. And this is all these things feed back into what we discussed earlier from the business model canvas. Do we have any questions? Great. If there's no questions, I will assume I did very well in explaining this, and I will go on to, pardon? Aneso, are you saying something? Okay. So, one of the things that I have personally observed with very many people starting out businesses and why they fail is because you don't have a grasp on your numbers. You don't have a grasp on your unit economics. You know, you can go and create the best possible, 5-year projections, 5-year numbers. But unfortunately, if you don't know what it costs you to make 1 unit and how much you make off 1 unit, there's a very huge chance that you are going to be losing money. And this is very unfortunate, okay? So unit economics are direct revenues and costs associated with a business model. And these are expressed on a per unit basis. What is the cost to make 1 unit and what do you make of it? And this works for fruit juice. This works pretty much across the board for any product that you're putting out there, okay? And I put together a very simple case that I'd like us to go through because we are discussing a juice pineapple brand. And I hope that you can all go back and try to create your own unit economics. Now, this would be so much easier on a board, but I have no board. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to use this table to explain it to you. And I hope you understand it very clearly, okay? So we're saying that we are producing the best juice in Uganda. And as such, we're pricing it at $2, okay? This has nothing to do with competition, market, nothing. This is purely what your numbers look like, okay? Your juice costs $2. The first question is, what is the cost per unit? Okay, so revenue per unit is $2. What is the cost per unit? The cost per unit is equal to what you call COGS, or cost of goods sold. So cost of goods sold are the direct costs that have to be accrued to produce 1 unit of a product, okay? So in this case, it is the pineapple, it is the bottle, it is the packaging, that whole base bit that you require to make sure you take it out there, okay? So it will cost you $0.5 to produce the juice. So that means that you have a gross profit of $1.5, okay? Now, in most cases, you'll find somebody goes, Robert, can you kindly mute your microphone? Robert Alia, please mute your microphone. And David, can you help mute Robert Alia's microphone if you're still there? Okay, great. Let's continue. Hopefully Robert is leaving us. Okay. Yeah, so you then calculate what those direct costs are and you've produced it. So it's 1.5 gross profit. Now there's a number of fixed costs that the business has on a monthly basis, okay? So this could be rent, it could be loan amortization. If you use loans to buy your equipment, loan amortization, salaries, utilities. And there's a total cost here. So you find that the total cost, the unit cost is your total production cycle divided by your total fixed costs. So you'll find that, let's say you have a factory that you're paying rent for and you're paying, let's say, $100 for it, and you're paying so much loan amortization, maybe another $100 a month. You're paying for equipment, salaries, and utilities. And this comes to a total of, let's say, $300. If you produce, and I need to get the mathematics right, so I'll actually get my phone out to do this calculation, right? If your production cycle is 10,000 10,000 bottles a month, you divide that by the $300. You divide that. So you divide your total cost, which is 3,000 in this case, divide by 10,000 bottles. Okay, if you can see this. And this gives you a unit cost of 0.3. So you add the $0.3 in there as part of your unit cost, because this is the production cycle you're going to actually be generating, right? And then you add the other costs, which is sales, general, and admin expenses. This is marketing, distribution, merchandising, administration, all these other costs that you have. And we're saying that that is probably about, let's say, another $5,000 a month. Remember, your production cycle is 10,000, and it's what you're going to go out and sell. So, or try to sell. So your unit economics, your unit profit of one bottle is $1. Okay, this is why, unfortunately, you see very many times we start businesses in our homes, and because we're not counting everything, you know, if you have your business in your home, and yes, your husband is paying rent or you own the home, let's say, for example, you're using electricity. How much are you paying for electricity? How much are you paying for water? How much are you paying? And when you calculate those things effectively and add them to your model, right? What then happens is, you know, you have a very clear position of your business. You know exactly what it costs you to run your business and how much you're making. That way, you know where to scale up. If you're not making enough money to cover your unit economics, then you need to increase production, right? You need to increase marketing to increase sales, because then if you fail to sell the number, that's a loss. But what does it cost you to make one unit, and how much do you make? So you find people baking cakes. I mean, I'll share a personal story. In my family home, my mother used to bake cakes, and there would always be a conversation that I'd hear where my dad is asking about, so how much did this make? And there was a problem with the answer, because it's always making money. But when the business left the home and went on its own, it began to really struggle, and it began to struggle because there was no perception of the unit economics. So you assume that since I'm producing 10 cakes a month now, and I'm making $1,000, if I keep making the cakes and I rent a smaller space, and this, it should work. But you find that the costs are so much more than you're anticipating. So you start to lose money. Okay, so it's very important for you as a business to understand your unit economics, understand how you create value, understand how you deliver value, and what it costs. And when you do that, you're in a very good place to start to, you know, validate, build, and scale up your business. Okay. Yes. So the third task is to develop unit economics. I will share this. We shall share this with you as a presentation. We shall share with you the business model canvas. We shall share with you the value proposition canvas as well, to help you with this process. And tomorrow we shall be looking at giving you feedback around all these concepts we've discussed, and hopefully you're able to better appreciate. You have a problem you've identified. You know who your customer is. You understand what their needs and pains are. You know how to deliver value, how to build value and deliver value to that customer, and be able to grow. I mean, technically, over the last 2 days, what we've discussed really is the primary bit of design, identifying a problem, designing a business, and delivering that to the customer. Right? So our next session on Friday is really around the legalities. How do you create a business? How do you communicate? How do you build pitch decks, elevator pitches? How do you talk to investors? It will be very basic, a much lighter conversation on Friday. And hopefully this can feed right into that as you grow your business. So as a quick recap for today, and I'll take a few questions after the recap. One is, your business should always start with a customer. Always. Okay. When you start with, I mean, yes, it's argued that there are product-led businesses that have been able to actually work. I don't agree. I don't dispute that. But from my experience, solution-based businesses actually see a lot more success, because they are in touch with their customers, they understand who they're selling to, and they're constantly talking to them, right? A business model canvas will help you define who, what, how, and how much you're going to be, you will require to build your business, okay? Value proposition canvas helps you identify the product market fit, understanding how your business solves customer pains, and provides customer gains. These are very important things, because that way the customer is, you know, sure what they want. And lastly, unit economics help you understand the viability of your business and appreciate your numbers. As opposed to thinking about, I'm producing 10,000 and making $1 million a month, what is the cost of one, okay? Before I open up for the questions, I would just like to share an experience. I had that investor a couple of years ago. An investor says to me, and this is a venture capitalist, he said to me, David, all I care about is your problem clear enough and big enough? How big is your problem? How many people face this problem? Okay. If I understand your problem, then your solution makes sense, because if it's a clearly built solution, it makes a lot of sense. The next thing I want to see is, are you clear on your market size? How big is the market? Now you've been able to validate, of course, the problem. How big is the problem? How big is the market potentially? Lastly, what are your unit economics? Because if I know how much it costs you to make one product and how much you make off the one product, what percentage you make off the one product, I work backwards, because I know that if you're making, $20 with a market size of 1 million people, potentially if we get 10% of that, we can make so much. Now there's so many things around market sizing and validation, but this is how someone thinks. I just see, oh my God, mobility is a very big problem. People need to move from point A to point B. So building a taxi business is almost a no-brainer, right? And this is the things that you want to be able to think about. Great, so I'll start to take the questions now. We have about 30 minutes to take as many as possible. I will start with the ones coming on the chat. Yeah. Well, there's no question on the chat. So if anybody has a
GB for 1 month.
Brian, Mr. Muhanguzi, do you want to mute your microphone as you buy your data? Okay, someone asks me to repeat unit economics. I will.
Yes.
I will try to very quickly. Okay. I will try to do this very quickly. Okay. Let's use the example of, actually, who asked the question? I will use the example of, let's say, a farm produce. I'll try to use a farm as an example, okay? So a farm makes money off the sale of kilograms of bell peppers. Let's use that as an example. Actually, I know a farm that does this, and I'll use this farm as an example. And I know that the farm is making losses right now, so I think it's the best example to use. So the farm makes money off bell peppers, okay? They have 2 greenhouses. I wish I could write this. Unfortunately, I can't. So we'll just have to talk about it. So they make about $2 a kilogram of bell peppers. That's about 7,000 Uganda shillings, let's say, of a kilogram of bell peppers. For them to plant so the farm produces a total of maybe 1,000 kilograms over a season, because it's 2 greenhouses. I'm estimating here. For them to produce the bell peppers, because they have no cost of rent, it is their personal land. It is only the cost of the seeds, okay, the seed, the fertilizer, that's the cost, I think. So it's very low for them to produce that, and it's very low, okay? So let's say that the cost per unit is of a $2, let's say they make $2. The cost per unit is actually maybe 0.1 or 10 cents. Okay, that's the cost per unit to produce the kilogram of bell peppers. Now, they make a gross profit of $1.9 on the bell peppers, right? There's no rent cost. There's no loan. There's a loan amortization that they have to run. Unfortunately, the loan is a family loan, so it's not too much, okay? Salaries and utilities, they're paying about, let's say it's about $200 a month or $300 a month, okay? So divide that by the 1,000, that should come to about, again, I think it's about 3 cents actually. It's very low, it's about 3 cents, okay? Which means their profit should be 1.87, okay? I hope I'm making sense, because I'm not writing this down. Okay. Now, unfortunately, they have other costs, input costs on their sales, general and admin expenses, input costs, merchandising, marketing, which are very high. Now, they're not calculating this cost, but they never see money coming out of the business. You never make money. That's because they're not calculating all the different costs. So you need to calculate. What I'll do tomorrow, I think, is I will try to do this session again, and I'll try to get a place where I can write it down so you actually have a good feel of it. Also, I could share some videos to help you, give you some more understanding of unit economics. Okay? So the point here is, if you don't understand every item, now the complex bits are around fixed costs and sales, general and admin expenses, okay? So you will divide your total fixed costs. So if you run a farm, for example, your total fixed costs are your cost of rent, amortizing of the loan for you that you've borrowed to set up the farm, the cost of salaries, cost of all inputs, cost of power, cost of water, the total cost. And you divide that by your production target or your production amount. Okay, so if let's say you produce 10,000 kilos of bell pepper or 1,000 kilos of bell peppers, you will divide that by what your total costs are. All right. Now, when you do that, you'll be able to get the unit cost of 1 unit. What is your 1 unit? Your 1 unit is a kilogram of bell peppers. Your 1 unit is a bottle of juice. Your 1 unit is a cake, whatever unit is. And you have, of course, you can have, if you have different product sizes, you can have averages with which you calculate, or you can have the production based on different batch cycles. So you know that in 1 month I produce this, that. This is the unit cost of product X, product Y, product Z. Okay. So it's very important, because if you understand your unit economics, it's very easy for you, again, to raise money, decide where you place investment and how this works. Next week, I'm not sure, and we shall be advised on this. We shall be doing a training for people who have existing businesses, and we'll be going a little bit more into business data and how you need information to help you make your decisions. Right? So it's very important to use data and information, because I'll give you an example. If you know that of my juice company, I sell. Sorry, it costs me more to produce juice during the months of lower, what do you call it? My unit economics are higher. My unit cost is higher because there's less production. Okay, then maybe you find ways to increase preservation. Maybe, or if you're not preserving, then you find ways to pre-purchase from farmers, so you make sure you guarantee the input cycle. Okay. So data helps you really understand how to run your business. And for a company that's starting out, unit economics help you understand. Because you see, if you're selling at $2, you know that for you to cover your cost, you must make and sell 10,000 units. If you're not selling 10,000 units, you're making a loss. You are dying. And you will only dig yourself into a hole and eventually die as a business. Okay. So this is really what this means. Okay. Lee, I'm going to get your question. Someone asked. Okay, someone asked. I'll start here. Okay, so I think I've gone back to economics a little bit. For the cases of people in agriculture, how do they develop their products? Again, before you build a product, define your customer, understand their problem, and then start to build. Don't start planting pineapples because your neighbor says pineapples are successful. Don't start making, we had a very good example yesterday when someone said they're making a mosquito repellent cream, but the customers are not buying the cream, okay? And maybe she saw something and thought, yes, malaria is a problem, but is cream the solution people want, okay? So in any industry, in agriculture as well, you start by identifying the customer, understanding their problem very well, and you start to plant. So I'll give you an example. Today you have people who are planting things like, I think it's pyrethrum or something like that, or people who are planting aloe vera. And you find that these are not conventional products to plant or to farm, but because they have been able to understand the market need and find somebody who is willing to purchase the aloe vera, they have found themselves in a place where they're making so much money because they've spoken to a customer and they've gone on, based on validation, been able to start producing aloe vera. Okay, But what happens is because of a copycat mentality, many people are going to go and start planting the same thing because they think, oh yeah, this works, I can make money. So no, it doesn't work. It should not work that way. Sometimes it works, but in agriculture, in a business, talk to your customer, understand them, understand their problem, make sure you can fit your product or solution fits their needs, prototype before you spend so much money, test, get feedback, and then begin to scale. Iterate and begin to scale. Brian asks, I would like you to touch on key metrics, especially for a starter who has tested his product service and is now launching it officially. There's just, honestly, there's one metric, Brian, one like this. That metric is called sales. How many customers are buying your product, right? Because if you come and tell me as an investor that I launched 2 months ago and in 2 months, I've been able to sell 1,000 units, that's a business. Now it's how do we structure the deal, right? Focus on one metric, growth. Focus on the fact that you can grow constantly week on week, day by day, month on month, and show that growth in your numbers. Be able to run very good data around your growth numbers and showcase that constantly to investors, to partners, to banks. As long as you show growth, it works. There are some products whose cost of production I find hard to calculate. For example, say goat productions, goat for slaughter. How do I calculate the cost of a single goat? Ladies and gentlemen, let me say this now. There is no product that you can't calculate the cost of. None whatsoever. Everything has a unit to it, okay? So let's say goat production. And what you're doing now is these goats are on an open family farm. So you're not paying rent, okay? These goats eat grass on the family farm. That means that, again, you're not paying for grass because the rain falls, the grass grows. So your cost of goods is still almost zero. But there's the cost of slaughtering the goat. There's the staff, the human resources who come in and sit there and manage the goats. There's the cost of building the goat house, okay? So you calculate this goat over a period of time and say, you know what, let's say 1 year, you can do your unit economics over a year and then you change it over, and it should be reducing, especially in your case where you own everything. So in the first 1 year, it's going to cost you, let's say, $1,000. You've built this, the goats are growing, maybe there's medication or vaccine, whatever it is, you calculate that. You then divide that by the number of goats you expect to produce. Now, you should have some yield metrics because you know a goat is going to give milk in 6 months. So you'll find yourself focusing more on feeding the female goats enough to make sure they can have more yield. Because right now, your business, your yield, your productivity is how many goats can you slaughter every year or every month, right? So you focus your business on creating yield in that area. What does it mean? Take the males away, get a male always around the place, maybe get better hybrid males to do artificial insemination, whatever it is. And that's the cost you're calculating. And then you can find what it costs you to raise one goat. So you know that I don't sell my goat at 50,000 a kilo. You know, it's very important because pricing for especially livestock is purely based on benchmarks. Because the market says a goat is this price, yeah, that's the price. Why? Why does your goat cost that much? You know, because you may find that your goat actually costs you very little to raise, especially if you don't have cost of land and cost of this. So you decide that if you can increase productivity, then you can reduce your price. So you're a leader in the market and you're selling all your goats constantly. Right? So use numbers to run your business. Use numbers to run your calculations. And that's what I'd like to say. Leah, is it advisable to involve an investor who is offering a loan at the beginning of a business? If you have validated your market, many times doesn't matter where you get the money from. If you validated your market and you validated your unit economics, because now remember you're going to add your loan amortization into unit economics. Okay, because before you have the product, your product works, makes sense, fine. My unit economics are cost of goods sold, but then now I'm adding an amortization of a loan to my fixed costs because I have to pay this investor so much money every month. Now, if you're able to achieve the desired production cycle, then it is fine to borrow money for the business. If you can't acquire the planned production cycle and sell to the number that you need to sell to, I would say don't borrow money because you may have a problem. Borrow less to fully validate, be sure about what the number you need, and then you can take it to market. what if the cost of production per unit is a bit higher than revenue per unit? Then you don't have a business. Then you're going to just dig yourself into a hole. So you need to make sure business is about profit. Now, except in some cases, this is very interesting, where you've had companies argue about things like freemium models in technology, where you want to be able to acquire so many people onto the platform. Or you are looking at a long-term play, so you're saying we shall make a loss for the first 5 years, but after the first 5 years, we should go into positive EBITDA. So it's important for you to calculate effectively how much it costs you to the business and how much you spend. Otherwise, you're making a loss, and the loss will kill your business. Ilu Chamuzi asks, where do one-off costs fall in unit economics? Define what the one-off costs are. It could be, if it's investment, it could be something you're paying for, because normally money has to be paid back. So if it's a loan, you're paying for it regularly. It could be selling general and admin expenses. That means if you're calculating the unit economics on a month-on-month basis, it probably goes up a little bit. That really depends. What should I do when I realize that my net profit is negative after reconciling my books of account, although my customer base is growing? This is a very good place to be. If you can prove growth, right, you can actually then go and borrow money. Because why is your net profit negative? Either you're not producing enough to be able to cover the cost of unit economics. Okay, this just comes out to business model. If your customers are growing, your people are buying your product. How do you solve the problem? Maybe you solve it by increasing production, so more people are buying your product, so you can borrow money to actively increase production and increase revenue. Okay, that's one way to look at it, because that way you can then cover all your costs and your unit economics become positive. Okay, so it's really realize my net profit is negative, especially after reconciliation. Yeah. Understand why is your net profit negative. Remember, you need to make a profit. I have faced the challenge where, on a personal level, where we failed to make profit for a very long time. But this is because we're still building technology. And I'm telling you, the things I'm telling you are because I've made mistakes not doing these things. So the way I approach business now is that I make sure that I validate and try to scale up, before I begin to go and raise money. Because raising money, you get to a point when raising money becomes a lot easier. But by the time you get to that point, you've made so many mistakes that you have to do things right. Okay, so you need to understand, Aaron, and like I said, this is a good question. You need to understand, why is your net profit negative? Is it because you're not producing enough product? Is it because your cost of goods sold is so high, so you will never reach enough customers to make unit economics positive? Yeah, it's interesting. Amwine asks, am I able to keep in touch after the training for future correspondences? Yes, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to help provide some mentorship. I believe that hopefully RUFORUM will be thinking through providing a mentorship structure as well. But I'll be happy to actually help on a personal level, because I have faced these problems, I've made these mistakes, and I'm happy to help, with people who are trying to start and build things. So I'll share my number after the program, and I'm happy to send a few WhatsApp messages once in a while, not too much, but when I'm available, I can. Great. Do we have any other questions?
Aaron has a raised hand.
Yes. Before Aaron, Agava Oscar asks, what is the quickest way to reach break-even point? Sell, 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 sell. Just make money. Because if you know how much your input cost is and how much you need to make, the only way you get to break-even is by selling. And the good thing is that, you see, some especially digital products can be a bit more complicated, because the metrics you're measuring may be different, because you're looking at growth and numbers. But today, what some of the biggest incubation funds are saying, they're saying that focus on selling, start making money from day one. Because when you make some money, the conversation with investors is easy. They used to tell us that you can just write a pitch and go to wherever it is and raise money. It's not like that in reality. You have to show that you have some traction. So sell and be able to grow. Just to add to that, also your strategy has to be focused on achieving break-even point. Right? I'll tell you an interesting story. Many venture capitalists don't want you to reach break-even early because they want you to keep spending money on growth. Okay, and sorry, this actually goes back into Mr. Aaron's question around. You may find that your net profit is negative because you're spending more money on marketing. So as opposed to increasing sales numbers, maybe reducing some of your selling and general expenses will also give you a positive unit economics. So it depends. Just understand why you're not getting positive unit economics and be able to fix those. And yeah, Aaron, sell. That is the only way to reach break-even point. Sell, manage your costs, and keep going. Yes, Aaron, you have a question?
Yes. David, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes. Just within my question that I had raised earlier on.
Yes.
Now, should I continue with my business? Because the rationale of me coming with a business, as much as I want to solve a problem which is existing, and I'm not making any profit. In other words, I start my business so that I can maximize profit. I have a feeling that I should just leave the venture in another business. I don't know what is your take. You please help me because I was once in this scenario. So and I don't want to miss it again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron. That's a very good question. So again, I'll use an experience, a personal experience, while I answer your question. So my fiance and I have a travel business, okay? And I had begun to pivot away from the previous business, and she came in to run this particular business. Now, because of COVID, so much has been wiped out and it has to be rebuilt. But it will take us very long to rebuild a travel business. So we decided to close that business down, okay? But then, when you tell me about your business, you are seeing growth, you're seeing customers coming in, you're seeing interest, you have a clear problem. Business is not easy. It is never easy for you to just get in there and make money from day one, okay? As long as you have a clearly validated problem, as long as you have a very validated market size and a solution that works, you just need to figure out, what do I fix to make the business grow? Don't run away from it if those things are clear. Problem, solution, market. Okay. Also, I think you should spend some more time doing some analysis around your unit economics. Try to figure out, where is it that things are not making sense? Where is the loss coming from? If the loss is coming from, not having enough customers, then you can do a bit more marketing. That is a solution. You can decide to say, you know what, we'll do a bit more marketing to increase our sales numbers, and that should solve our problem. Right. So before you close the business, understand why it's not making sense. I'm happy to have a chat with you. I think I'll put my WhatsApp number on the chat. I will try to respond to as many questions as possible on WhatsApp where possible. But before you close, sorry, this I need to type this and read everybody. Before you close your business, understand why you're struggling, understand why the problem is there. And if you can make changes, tweaks, or edits, it becomes better. You can't keep jumping from one to the other. If you want to grow business, it's tough, it's hard. Many people will take 10 years to get it right. So don't think it's an instant thing, no. But work on getting the few fundamentals right and keep trying to grow. I hope I've answered your question. Great, we have 6 minutes to go. I believe there's currently no other questions that we see. I don't know if Dr. Egeru is there and wants to say something.
Well, for me, it's really to thank you, David, for taking through the program, and now people seeing and checking themselves where they have come from and where they are going. This this is really trying to, on our part, to say, can we be able to try to do things differently? I know for many of the young entrepreneurs in this who are attending through this program now, you notice that there is a difference in the way the approach to building business is being. A couple of you are really, or were really more focused on trying to say, can I have a business plan? Now you are noticing that a business plan or a business proposal is not everything that you need in order for you to really begin to think through and build a functional business. So it is really to ensure that please stay on until we finish this training by Friday. Tomorrow, I think, David, is there any arrangement tomorrow?
I'm trying to, I think I'll find someone to share with you the experience as well.
Yeah. So I think tomorrow you log on really to receive again experiences from another person who has been in business. This is really part of the issues around interaction and mentorship, for example, that Amwine has asked about. And we want to try as much as possible to be able to provide this kind of opportunities and experiences to you. A process and building business is a process. So you have to be resilient, you have to keep on, you have to learn to fail, never fear to fail, fail and rise up again. The issue and the advantage is that time is on your side. As young people, time is on your side. A person who is at 60 years, probably if he or she starts business and fails, you're sending him or her to the grave faster. But the issue is for most of you, time is on your side. And now is the time for you to get your legs and foot and everything to this business environment. The other issue is that on Friday, yes, you will continue, you'll go now to business pitching. And when you go to the business pitching, you will then be preparing yourselves to begin to think through how to put your enterprise proposition for financing. But we will also receive a guest address from Elisa. Elisa is the Entrepreneurship Leadership Institute for Sub-Saharan Africa. They all try to provide insights on what ELISA is and what opportunities exist within the ELISA platform and ELISA framework of engagement. And with the hope that some of you can potentially begin to prepare yourselves and try to get into the competitive processes to be able to raise resources. Again, you kept saying that, you know, somebody asked on day one that, yeah, everything, there are many problems, but the real problem is capital. Yeah, even that one, you have to be ready and be prepared to mobilize. I can tell you that one of the issues is that the first time I met David was in a corridor in one of the offices when he was talking, and then it dawned on me that someday I will get back to this guy. And that was last year, and it took me another maybe 1 year or so to begin to look for David until I got him. So the issue is that you need to be able to prepare yourselves that once you are talking and giving people your proposition for a business, they should be able to say, yes, this is a business that we should be able to finance. So Elisa will be presenting this, but also you know that there are several of these potential calls. You should also be aware that RUFORUM, for example, has put across a pre-call for entrepreneurship competition for Africa, where, you know, upon if you win, then there is a $2,000 that is given to each and every young person who will be a winner, who will be selected in that process. But you have to be able to put out an idea that is competitive. there are several of these other schemes that are running across. So really for us, it's about preparing you and trying to say, can you be able to move into this space when you are more rather competitive, when you try to understand what you're doing. So please join us tomorrow again and join us on Friday. And then we shall try to ensure that we finalize on Friday. And then we will try to see how to share with you the e-certificates that we would have prepared for your participation for those that you'd have done. So I think for me, that's really what I would like to say, and say thank you very much. Continue to invite others, even though the training is moving on. It is never too late to join a class, even if and it is never bad to study. So please do come, join in tomorrow again at the same time, and on Friday also at the same time. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, and have a good evening.